here is the agenda for the day. First, let's see what OpUtils is. In this part, we'll cover an overview of the product, and in the next part, let's discuss on how OpUtils helps navigate through modern IT challenges. So, where we will talk about OpUtils capabilities in detail, and finally, we'll discuss why OpUtils is a good choice for your network. So, with that being said, let's get started with what is OpUtils right away. OpUtils is a comprehensive IP address manager and switchport mapping solution that comes built in with a lot of capabilities that will help network administrators understand the network address space in the modern IT infrastructure. So, what comes to your mind when I say IP address manager tool? Spreadsheets, right? So, although spreadsheets have been effective in the past in managing IP addresses, they no longer meet the growing demands of the network, especially when it comes to modern IT infrastructures and its distributed network. Because with the modern infrastructures, we need to manage and discover address spaces across subnets, supernets, remote sites, and data centers. With the help of OpUtils, you can easily manage IPv4 and IPv6 addresses and automate end-to-end scanning that will provide you with real-time data insights. This comprehensive IP address manager tool will simplify IP address management by helping you track critical metrics like availability and utilization by displaying it in a centralized console. We also have over 30 comprehensive network toolsets that will help you carry out day-to-day network tasks in just few clicks. So OpUtils offers detailed reports, and the proactive alerts generated by the tool will help you resolve the issues quickly. So a notable aspect of OpUtils is that it's easy to deploy. You can get started on OpUtils in a few minutes by discovering your resources into the OpUtils console. And another best part of OpUtils is that it's affordable, easy to use, and its ability to significantly reduce the manual work for network admins. So I believe this clearly would have given you an overview of OpUtils. Now let's see how OpUtils helps with IT. So let's take a look at the capabilities of OpUtils that stands out from other IPAM tools. The different modules we'll be looking at today are IP address manager, switchport mapper, rogue detection tool, network toolset, schedules, reports, and alarms, and user management. So let's get started with OpUtils IP address manager. But before we get into the module in detail, let's pause for a moment and understand why do we need an IP address management solution in the first place. Of course, it replaces spreadsheets and helps you manage your IP address space effectively. However, is that the only reason? Let's see the other reasons in the next slide. There are different tools in the market that you can use to monitor your network address space, like SNMP tools, CLI queries, etc. However, when it comes to using these tools, there are a lot of backlogs generated while monitoring your IP address space. The IPAM module in OpUtils helps you eliminate such backlogs and human errors involved by automating subnet discovery, IP data collection, and managing the statuses of these IPs. So when it comes to managing an IP database, it's not an easy task, as it will require you to go to your network, check the real-time IP status, and update the change in your tool. This is time-consuming, requires manual work, and can lead to a lot of human errors. As network administrators, you always have to make sure that your IP database is updated real-time. And OpUtils IPAM module can help you automate your IP data collection and make the status change in real time. And another use of automating your IP data collection is that you get a single source of truth. You can use the OpUtils inventory to track multiple IPv4 and IPv6 subnets and supernets across your network. And with the help of OpUtils IPAM module, you can manage your IP addresses with ease, and you can mark and control the IP addresses in your network by marking them based on their attributes and utilization. Say, for example, you can reserve certain IPs for static allocation update custom columns to track custom details regarding a subnet or an IP. The next feature we'll be talking about is the DHCP monitoring. As you all know, DHCP server is an integral part of modern IT infrastructure, as modern networks are dependent on dynamic IP allocation. Hence, it is important to manage and monitor your DHCP servers as well. OpUtils IPAM module can help you monitor your DHCP server scopes by allowing you to gain visibility into how the individual IPs are behaving and how the IPs are mapped in your DHCP server. So let's move to the next feature, which is in-depth MAC insights. So it is important to understand how and where your IP is being used. With the help of OpUtils IPAM module, you can get detailed insights into the MAC addresses and IPs that are associated with them. And this will help you gain visibility into the network connectivity details and how the network is being mapped. Now comes the most important part, which is learning about how to stay ahead of issues by configuring alerts in OpUtils. Let's say that two MAC addresses are competing for an IP address and we call it IP conflicts. So it sounds simple, but it can result in huge network downtime, which can be critical for your organization's network. OpUtils IPAM module gives you number of alert configurations to choose from, and by enabling it, you can stay ahead of major IP issues. So now let's go to the product and see how these features work. So you're now looking at OpUtils demo. So if anyone of you would like to try this with me, please open demo.oputils.com in your browser and we can explore the product together. The link has been posted in the chat panel. So now I'm navigating to the IP address manager module. The first thing that you would have to do is to discover your IPs into OpUtils console. OpUtils has a very flexible IP discovery options like adding a subnet, adding a supernet, or importing a subnet from CSV file or using DHCP discovery. Now let's see how to add an IPv4 subnet into OpUtils console. So here you see an add button, right? Click onto that and then click on add IPv4 subnet. So as you can see, there are two methods by which you can add IPv4 subnet into OpUtils console. One is by adding it manually, and the second option is to import from a CSV file. So uploading a CSV file in a particular format that's like mentioned in the sample file will help you import IPv4 subnets instantly into OpUtils. Now let's see how to add IPv4 subnet into OpUtils manually. So OpUtils allows you to create subnet groups based on your IP management needs. So you would have already created subnet groups and you'll have to choose one subnet group here. And then you need to input a subnet or network address here, the subnet name, VLAN name, and here you need to select the functions that needs to be performed during subnet discovery. Say, for example, you need to check the IP availability during subnet discovery. To enable that, you need to check this option here. Or if you want to get the device details during subnet discovery, you can check this option here, given the relevant credential, and then give on add. So these options are you need to select these functions that need to be performed during subnet discovery. And then when you click on add, your IPv4 subnet should now be added into OpUtils console. So all the IPv4 subnets that you have added into OpUtils will be listed here under subnet details. Now let's see how to add a supernet. It's the same rule again. Go to the add button and click on add supernet option that's given here. First, you need to enter the network address. Provide the supernet name and description. So here again, you can create supernet groups, which is very similar to subnet groups. You need to select a group here. And you need to select the subnet address with which you need to create the supernet. You can do that after selecting the subnet. You can click on the next button that's given here. Here you can get the preview of the selected subnets, and when you click on add, you'll be able to add supernet into OpUtils console. So that is how you add IPv4 subnet and a supernet into OpUtils. Similarly, you can also add DHCP server and IPv6 subnet into OpUtils. that you have discovered your IP resources from subnets, supernets, and DHCP servers, the next step is to navigate between the different groups of the network resources that you've discovered. So this is done using the tree view and the donut view of OpUtils. The tree view gives you hierarchical representation of the subnet groups by which you can track your IP addresses with ease. And with donut view, you can track these IPs based on their networking attributes like DNS, AD, NIC card type, etc. So once you're comfortable with navigating the subnets in the tree view and the donut view, we can move to the subnet summary tab. This gives you an overview of all the subnets and the utilization present in your network. So in this page, you will view information like total IPs discovered so far, the total number of subnets, the subnet utilization, the subnet summary, and so on. We can also see a graphical representation for IP availability, DNS status, etc. Moving on to the subnet details tab. So here we can see a visual representation of IP utilization, which is not possible with the spreadsheets. So in this tab, you can see the subnet address, the subnet name, the size of the subnet along with their utilization. You can perform an on-demand scan of a particular subnet by clicking on the scan action button that's given here. Or you can also choose to modify or delete a subnet by choosing the quick action button that's given here. Next, let's talk about the IP details tab. So here you can see all the IPs that are being tracked using OpUtils. You can also see the MAC addresses of those IPs, as in like which MAC address is using a particular IP at the moment. You can see the utilization status here. So if an IP is used, you won't be able to allocate this IP to another device. If the status is transient, it means that the IP is in its cool-off period and can be used only if it is made available. And if an IP is available, it means that you can allocate this IP for a network device. Also, you can use this filter all IPs option that's given here and filter your IPs and check their status using this option. For example, let's say that you wanted to check all the transient IPs at the moment. So you can simply click on transient that's given here, and you should be able to see all the IPs that are in their cool-off period. So you can use these IPs once they are made available. So next is, say for example, that you are doing a server maintenance and the IPs will be dynamically allocated the next time you log into your system, and you would like to keep track of your IP MAC mappings to make sure that there is no downtime or IP conflicts. So how do you do that? So we have the IP history and the alerts tab, using which you can achieve this. So with the IP history tab in OpUtils, you can see the logs or the changes that has happened to the IPs and the MAC addresses associated with them over time. And in the alerts tab, you will be able to see the alert logs and the causes of these alerts, wherein the alert type and the remark that you have added will also be showed here. With this, you'll be able to see if there was an IP conflict or DNS lookup failure, etc. So moving on, let's talk about how you can monitor your DHCP servers into OpUtils. So before that, we'll see how to discover your DHCP server into OpUtils. So it's the same rule again. Click on the Add button, click on Add DHCP server. You need to specify the server name. And as you can see, OpUtils helps you monitor Microsoft DHCP server, Palo Alto firewall, Linux, Cisco, and Fortinet firewall DHCP server. So after that, you need to select your Active Directory domain and then click on Add. So all your discovered DHCP servers will be listed here. So clicking on this server, you can see details like the DHCP summary, the server name, the DNS name, the server type, MAC address of that particular server, etc. And you can also see the scope details. Under the scope details, you can find details like scope address, scope name, the total IPs, leased and reserved IPs. And under the IP address tab, you'll be able to find all the IP addresses present inside the DHCP server. So now we are moving on to the next module in IPAM, which is IP request tool. Let's say that you have 5 devices that you wanted to allocate IPs for. So manually looking for IPs that are available and then marking them for devices is so much of a headache. So with help of OpUtils IP request tool, you can automate IP allocation and assignments. So all you need to do is go to the settings, click on new IP request, and then here you find a button called new IP request. Click on that. You need to enter the number of IPs, the purpose, the location, department, and choose the preferred subnet from the IPs, and then click on next. So, say for example, let's consider a use case wherein I'm hosting an interview tomorrow for 5 people, and I'm hiring for my development team, and I wanted to allocate my IPs automatically tomorrow. In that case, how will I do this? Enter the location, enter the department, and then here you can choose the preferred subnet, and the available IPs from that particular subnet will be listed. So from the subnet that I chose, these are the available IPs. All I need to do is to select the IPs that I wanted, and then click on next. So here you'll be able to gain a preview of your request, and the network administrators who have access to this subnet in which you have requested from can assign, modify, or deny the request in the OpUtils console. So once you submit, this will be added as a task under IP request console, and in your admin's view, this is how it will look. So the administrator can choose to decline the request or approve the request depending upon how the IP is available or has been assigned to some other person or not. So this is how you manage IP request inside OpUtils. So next we'll talk about the dashboard. Please give me a moment. So this is how OpUtils dashboard looks like, and OpUtils provides you a centralized dashboard for tracking all your modules. Under the IP address manager dashboard, you can find the graphical representation of top 10 subnets with occupied IPs, the IP top 10 groups, the IP availability summary, and so on. So say you wanted to create a customized dashboard depending upon your monitoring needs, you can also do that with the help of OpUtils. Just click on the 3 lines that's given here, click on new dashboard. So give the dashboard a name, click on next. And here you need to select the widgets that you need to monitor from your dashboard and click on next. So that is how you create your own customized dashboard inside OpUtils. So this is just a brief overlook into the IP address manager module. So if you have any doubts about this module, please reach out to us or post your queries on Q&A panel. So let's quickly recap on what we have seen in IP address manager module. So we've seen how OpUtils allows flexible IP discovery. We saw how you can manage and track your IP addresses using the tree and the donut view. We also saw how OpUtils advanced IP scanner can help you fetch real-time insights into your IPAM data. We also saw the IP request tool, IP history, alerts, and dashboard. Moving on. Let's talk about switchport mapper module in OpUtils. So IP address management and switchport management go hand in hand when it comes to managing a network address space. So can you imagine manually tracing network cables to track and manage your switch ports? So it's difficult and almost impossible when you have a huge network and multiple devices connected to multiple switches. With the help of OpUtils switchport mapper, you won't need to trace cables as it will provide end-to-end mapping and scanning of switch ports. OpUtils helps you track complete connectivity details of the access, trunk, and switch ports connected to multiple MAC. So it also has capabilities that will help you visualize your switch ports through the port view feature. OpUtils also displays critical metrics that needs to be tracked for your switch ports. So these metrics aid in comprehending the utilization of resources within your network and how these resources are mapped. And OpUtils switch port mapper module identifies switch issues such as port flapping and looping by proactively monitoring your switch ports and sending you alerts, alert emails or switch logs when something goes wrong in your network. Now let's go back to the demo and see how these features are mapped in the switch port mapper module. So navigate to the switch port mapper module. So as you can see, the console view is very much identical to the IP address manager module. Again, we have the tree view and the donut view. The tree view gives the logical groupings of the switch ports in this case, and the donut view provides with the networking attributes of the switch ports. Again, the first step is to discover all your switches into OpUtils console. So to discover the switches into OpUtils, you can either add it manually, import from a CSV file, or discover a bulk range of switches at multiple at the given time. So to add a switch manually, you need to provide, you would have grouped your switches earlier. So you need to specify that group name, provide the switch name, and then select the credentials, select the actions that you want to perform. Like if you want to get IP map data using SNMP, or if you wanted to perform a ping sweep, you can check these option and click on add switch. That is how you add a switch into OpUtils console manually. Next is to import directly from a CSV file. Click on the import from CSV option. Click on browse and import the file of switches that you wanted to add. Select the relevant SNMP credential and click on add. So this is how you add switches into OpUtils by importing it from CSV. So if you wanted to discover multiple switches at once, you can select this discovery option and enter the starting and ending IP of the switches. Select the relevant credential again and click on discover. So now that you have all your switches discovered into OpUtils, and all of that will be listed under the switches tab is given here. Moving on to the summary. The summary tab helps you get an overview of all the switches discovered into OpUtils console. It helps you get information about the switch summary, like the switch count, the total number of ports, the available ports, the used ports, the transient ports, and so on. Here in the switches tab, you can see a list of the switches that are available. So here again, you can see the utilization of those switches as well. It also gives you information about the IP address of the switch, the DNS name, the current utilization, and the scan status, and so on. Here again, you have an on-demand scanner. If you want your data to be exhibited in real time, you can click on the scan all button that's given here. Next, moving on to the ports. So as you can see here, some of these ports are color-coded. Let's see what each of them means. These colors represent the networking attributes of the ports. So some of these ports are connected to multiple MACs, which are represented in yellow color, and some of them are stacked, which are represented in gray. So you will also see some ports which are in orange color. So they are the ports with the devices which has a lot of virtual IPs in them. So by clicking on the more option that's given here, you'll be able to see the multiple MAC addresses connected as end device to this stacked port. Here you'll be able to see the connected device details like MAC address, their IP address, DNS name, device type, and so on. So clicking on a port will take you to the port snapshot page again, where you'll be able to see details like the interface index, interface name, description, operational status, and so on. So here, this is another important feature of the switchport mapper module in the ports view, so which will help you visualize ports connected to MAC addresses. So simply hovering your mouse over this port will give you information like the interface name, interface index, port number, the status, MAC address, and its IP address. Here you can see something called import port details. So let's say that you have a few ports that you would like to manage and monitor. So instead of adding the entire switch, you can directly import port details. You can do that by clicking the import port details and click on browse and then import the file into OpUtils console. Here you can see something called add custom column. So you can also add custom columns for your ports. Knowing your network connectivity details can help you optimize your network better, and that is why we have given this option here. Here you can see something called port history and port alerts, which is very much similar to IP history and IP alerts we saw in the IP address manager module. So we have the port history tab, which gives you the history of how the ports are detected and the device change information. We also have the alerts to keep you updated with the alerts generated inside the operator's console whenever the alerts are being raised because of a particular switch. We also have a dedicated dashboard for switch port mapper module where you can view details particular to switch ports in the network. So moving back to the presentation, let's again take a quick recap into what we have seen inside switch port mapper module. We saw how to get started with switch port mapping, how to view connectivity insights, the utilization metrics, port visualization, port history, and alerts. Moving on to rogue device detection module of OpUtils. So this module is designed to enhance the security of your enterprise network against potential threats, and it saves your network from unauthorized or malicious devices. So it's a challenging task for network administrators to manually track and monitor every device that enters a network, especially the enterprises that implement BIOT policies, those that have IoT devices and those dealing with shadow IT. They would need real-time monitoring to prevent security breaches. The rogue detection module incorporates Active Directory integration, which automatically identifies all trusted devices within your AD environment. So this feature serves to distinguish legitimate devices from the rogue ones. So with OpUtils, you can gain precise control over your network by assigning authenticity tags to your devices. And in cases where rogue devices are identified, you can promptly block access to your enterprise networks through the associated switch port, all at the click of a button. So this eliminates the need for manual cable tracing again, and it's important to know that some attackers use sophisticated methods such as ARP spoofing to gain unauthorized access, and OpUtils has got you covered in this aspect as well. The tool continuously scans ARP entries, enabling the identification and prevention of spoofing attacks and ensuring the integrity of your network. Let's go to the product and see how this capability works in OpUtils console. As you can see, we have a dedicated tab for rogue detection module. So let's first see how this list of devices was generated. Earlier in IP address manager module and switch port mapper, you will have to discover the IPs and switch ports individually. But here, as I clicked on rogue detection module, all these devices got populated automatically. Let's see how it got listed. So OpUtils will scan all your network devices such as routers, printers on demand, and then it will generate this list of devices. So basically, OpUtils populates the module with all the MAC addresses from the different modules like IP address manager, the switch port. When you add a router inside OpUtils, it will gather all the MAC addresses across the modules and get this populated here. So now let's say that, so once you've all those devices are populated, that will get listed under discovered. Yeah. So now let's say that you have number of trusted devices which are neither present in the Active Directory of your network nor in your network, but you wanted to add them into the OpUtils rogue detection module as trusted device. What you can do is you can add the trusted devices MAC addresses that you want to import by clicking on the import MAC address details here, and you can import all the trusted MAC details into the console. And again, uh, you can do that by importing the file here and clicking on import. All those devices will get listed under trusted. Now all devices in your AD also will automatically be classified under trusted. After adding the devices, you can view or inspect the devices basically by clicking its MAC address, and it will show the MAC address, the IP address, the SysO IDs, and so on. So it gives you information of the all the switches through which the device is communicated, and will also give you details of the connected port. So after viewing this, if you feel this is a malicious device, you can mark it as rogue. Now let's talk about guest devices. Now let's say that you are hosting an enterprise level workshop, and you are allowing some guest devices to enter into your network premises. So you can mark these devices as guest with a validity period. So all you need to do is select these devices, click on the three dots that's given here, and mark it as rogue. Mark it as guest. So that is how you classify your guest devices, and all the devices that you mark it as guest will get listed under the guest devices that's given here. So say, for example, you wanted to extend the validity period of a few guest devices alone. In that cases, you need to select those guest devices and click on the three dots again that's given here. And here you find an option to extend the validity period. You need to enter the date until which you need to extend the validity of those guest devices, given a description, and click on save. Now that you have classified trusted and guest devices, say if there are a few devices that is trying to infiltrate, and instead of manually searching and locating the device, you can remotely block the switch ports of those devices. What you can do is, say for example, if these two devices are accessing my network even after its validity period, I can just click on these devices and mark it as rogue. All those devices will get listed under rogue devices. And I can also block their switch port remotely by clicking on those devices and give block or unblock switch ports. So this is how OpUtils rogue device detection module works. So here you see options to export the discovered trusted rogue and guest devices via CSV file or PDF. So you also have dedicated dashboard for rogue detection module, where you can view the recently discovered trusted marked as guest and a set of rogue devices in your network. So with the help of rogue detection, you can make sure that your network is secure from unauthorized devices. So that's it about rogue device detection module. So let's take a quick recap of what we saw under rogue device detection module. We saw how OpUtils rogue detection tool automatically discovers rogue devices, how to manually import devices into the module, how to mark devices as rogue, trusted, and guest. We also saw how to view the connectivity details and to remotely block or unblock switch ports. And we also saw how alerts can be helpful inside OpUtils console. Now let's move on to the next module, which is networking tools. So these set of networking tools allows network administrators to carry out day-to-day network tasks within centralized console. These set of tools helps them to drill down to various aspects of the network, apart from just IP addresses and switch ports. So let's go to the demo and simultaneously see what each of these tools do. So you can find these tools in the console under the networking tools tab. So the networking tools consist of four tools, that is the network monitor, the config file manager, bandwidth monitor, and wake on LAN. Let's see what each of these does. First, let's see what is a bandwidth monitor. OpUtils bandwidth monitor tool helps you keep an eye on the network traffic. It gives you a graphical visualization of the bandwidth traffic and the metrics of the critical device interfaces. So when you click on a device, you'll be able to see the network traffic for a period of time. Say if I wanted to check the monthly traffic, when I click on the monthly tab that's given here, I'll be able to see the in and out traffic for the last 1 month. So this is it about bandwidth monitor. Moving on to the config file manager. So the config file manager in OpUtils will let you monitor the configuration changes of Cisco device. So right now, OpUtils configuration file manager only supports managing the configuration of Cisco devices. You can use this tool to view, backup, and restore configuration files of different Cisco devices. So next, let's talk about the network monitor. So this tool will help you monitor critical network devices. It will help you monitor the availability and response time with automated periodic polling. Click on the network monitor. You can add a device here also instantly. So you'll be able to view their IP address, DNS name, status, the sys name, last updated time, response time, the monitoring status, and all of it. So when you click on a particular device, you'll be able to see the device snapshot page of that particular network device, and any alerts that were raised for this particular device will be listed under the alarms tab that's given here. Moving on to the Wake on LAN. This tool will help you perform wake-up routines on a group of devices that needs to perform scheduled tasks assigned by their IT admins. So with the help of this tool, you can also wake up devices on demand as long as the device is powered on. So this will help you. This will help you wake up devices on demand. So all you have to do is to click on the device and click on the power on button that's given here. So you can create groups of devices to wake up multiple devices at the same time to perform this scheduled tasks. So this is it about networking tools. So next, let's talk about OpUtils network toolset. So OpUtils toolset helps IT admin perform different set of networking tasks within a centralized console. So we have 6 different groups of networking tools, starting with ping tool to detect connectivity issues, address monitoring tools to resolve MAC address, run DNS lookups, and monitor DHCP scopes. OpUtils also has network monitoring tools to run network scans, update system details, and gain detailed insights about the network nodes. So it also has SNMP tools like MIB browser to monitor SNMP devices, Cisco tools to monitor Cisco devices, and other networking tools to run queries, view syslogs, and monitor traps. So let's take a look at these tools in the console. You need to navigate to the tool set that's given here, and you'll be able to see 6 different groups of tool set inside OpUtils console. So these ping tools that are given here, with this you can choose to run ping scan, SNMP ping, proxy ping, and even trace route. This will help you understand how the devices are mapped in the network. Next, we have the address monitoring tool. This will help you resolve MAC address, run DNS resolution, or even perform DHCP scope monitoring. Another tool here is the MAC IP list that will give you a list of all the IP addresses and MAC addresses that are currently mapped in your network. So here we also have network monitoring tools, and most network administrators would be quite familiar, as network scanner and port scanner are a vital part of network monitoring in modern IT infrastructure. We also have System Explorer. So this will give you in-depth details of the system snapshot, disk space, and the process scans running on your network devices. And we also have TCP reset and the system details update, which allows you to remotely update the details of your system in a network. So now let's move on to SNMP tools. So the SNMP MIB browser helps you run quick SNMP operations We also have SNMP Graph, SNMP Walker, Community Checker, and Trap Receiver, which will help you manage and monitor SNMP enabled devices. We also have Cisco tools, the Cisco Device Scan and Device Explorer that allows to gain visibility over Cisco devices like the IP address of the Cisco device or the system name, the description, and so on. So here we have the other tools like WMI query, CLI query, forward trap, syslog, and syslog viewer. So this is it about the tool set which is present inside OpUtils, and this will also help the administrator from switching. It will prevent the administrator from switching to multiple small tools and gather all the data. So all of this you have within a single console inside OpUtils. Next, let's move on to the schedules, reports, and alarms. So first, what is a scheduler and why do you need the scheduler option? So the simple reason is to automate network scanning and update real-time insights on IP addresses and MAC addresses. So using an on-demand scanner every time to scan your IPs and MAC addresses is like such a hassle. Every time you cannot go and switch on a button every time you need on-demand data. So with the help of OpUtils scheduler option, you can set up custom scans at preferred intervals for specific network resources. You can schedule scans for your routers, Active Directories, IP address manager, switch ports, and so on. Let's go to the console and quickly see how you can schedule scans. So for that, go to settings. Under IP address manager, you have something called scheduler. So with this, you will be able to schedule all your tasks. And similarly, you can do it. This is for IP address manager. Similarly, you can do it for routers, Active Directory, switch port mapper, and so on. Yeah. So how do you do it? You need to click on the add task that's given here. You need to set a task name, select the subnets that needs to be scanned periodically. You need to mention the time for the scheduling to work on and click on save. Your scan should now be scheduled to be performed as per your request, and you can also see that the schedule that you just created has been added as a task under this tab. Yeah, let's move on to the reports part of OpUtils. Reports are an indispensable part of any network management because reports will help you have clear documentation of network change information. OpUtils generates valuable and diverse reports of IP address manager and switch port mapper based on monitor resources. OpUtils has audit option to check who is making what change to the console. So we also have a schedule reports option through which you can schedule reports. You can also generate on-demand reports anytime you want by clicking on the CSV or the PDF file that's given there. So let's move on to the console. Here you have a dedicated tab for reports, and OpUtils gives you various reports for IP address manager and switch port mapper. So under IP address manager, you have reports for unused IP addresses, reserved static IP addresses, IP usage summary, and so on. Again, under the switch port mapper, you have a lot of reports. Here you have option to schedule reports, or you can also generate on demand anytime by clicking on the CSV or PDF file in that particular report that you create. And here you have the audit option. So this will help you understand anything and everything related to your IP address manager and subnet space. You have information about who performed which action in that particular in a particular time, and when was it performed, a description outlining it, and so on. So let's move on to the next part of the training, which is alerts and notification. Alerts and notifications are a vital part of network monitoring as it allows you to proactively monitor your network so that you can look for a fix when or before an issue happens. With the help of OpUtils, you can configure alerts and stay ahead of issues such as IP conflicts and ARP spoofing. So when an alert is triggered, you will receive instant notification via syslog email and even inside the OpUtils console. Let's get into the demo of the product and see how we can set this up. So for that, go to settings. Under IP address manager, you have something called configure alerts. Click on that. So as you can see here, OpUtils gives you predefined scenarios like IP address conflict, DNS forward or reverse lookup failure, and so on. So you can customize these alerts to get notified via email or syslog. And when you click on save, your alert should now be configured. And in the same way, you can configure alerts for switch port mapper and rogue device detection as well. So this is it about alerts and notification. We also saw how to configure these alerts inside OpUtils. Now let's move on to the next part, which is user management. So what is user management and why do you need it? So to make sure that your network integrity stays in place, you have to make sure that you define who has what level of access to your network. So also, you do not want to limit the efficiency by giving limited access to users, right? So OpUtils role-based access control tool can help you create customized roles for different users and team members based on their domain. We also have predefined administrator and operator roles, which you can take advantage of, where the admin has read and write access for all the modules in OpUtils, and the operator has only the read access. So enabling effective user scoping and defining the role-based access control for your team will help you specify which operator has what level of access to the monitored resources and the OpUtils capabilities. Let's get into the product to see how you can assign roles to the users. So go to settings. Under general settings, you have something called user management. So first you create a role for user and then associate it with the user profile. Let's see how you can create role. As you can see here, there are two default roles created by the system. So one is the administrator role, who has read and write access across all modules inside the product, and the operator, he has only read-only access across modules in the product. So let's first create a role. Now say I'm going to assign a custom user where I'm going to give him only access to view reports. He'll be managing reports inside OpUtils. So what he can do is, here I can give read and write access for IP address manager, switch port mapper. So for these under reports, he'll be having the full access, and he'll be restricted access for all other parts of the network. Yeah, I'll also give him access for OpUtils settings, and I can change this anytime. When I click on save, I'll be able to create a user role. Now, once I've created a user role, here you'll be able to see that, here you'll be able to see that new role that we just created. And then we can move ahead creating a user profile. So for that, you can click on add user. You can select the role. So the new role that you created will be listed here. You can select that role, select the user type, provide the username, provide a password for him, and then enter his email ID. And when you click on next, you'll be able to provide user role and credential, set up password policies, and create a user profile. And then this is how you manage users inside OpUtils console. So that is it about user management inside OpUtils. So now let's see, why do you need OpUtils for your network? With so many IPAM and SPM tools available in the market, why should you choose OpUtils? So here's why. So OpUtils is simply powerful and super easy to use. So all you would have to do is download the product, upload your network resources into OpUtils console, and get started in few minutes. And the best part is that it does not even require a huge learning curve. So OpUtils has a centralized dashboard and widgets to get visibility into all your crucial data that you're monitoring. And the best part of the dashboard is that you can access it. You can import all the important widgets and you can customize it according to your needs. So OpUtils can automate network scanning, which means you won't have the need to perform on-demand scans to keep the console updated with the real-time data insights. So this increases productivity and reduces the time consumption required for performing network scanning tasks. So OpUtils has more than 30 network tools, so you don't have to switch between different tools to manage and monitor your network. We also have in-depth utilization reports and instant alerts to keep you updated with real-time insights of your network nodes, which will help you monitor and troubleshoot your network with ease. So OpUtils has a super effective IP address manager, DHCP scope monitor, and switchport mapper modules. All these modules are integrated with each other, which will give you holistic visibility into your network address space. It will help you run advanced IP scanning, IP address tracking, end-to-end switchport mapping, and simplify DHCP server scope monitoring. OpUtils also helps you secure your network from rogue devices with its rogue detection module, and protects your network integrity by allowing you to define user management controls for your team members. We also have the mobile version of OpUtils so that you can perform network management tasks on the go. So you can also integrate your iOS and Android phones to your on-premise deployment and monitor your IP address space anytime and any place you like. So that's about it. This is a very brief demo on OpUtils capabilities with general circumstances. However, if you would like to get a personalized demo or would like to clear your doubts or queries on OpUtils, please reach out to us and our product experts will clarify your doubts and help you set up OpUtils for your enterprise network. So I'd like to thank you all for your time and for taking efforts for joining the free training. Thank you.